the team, because there were a lot of in-process defects that were getting captured, and on top of that, we also had a good amount of defect slippage that was happening to the system testing and the acceptance testing phases. So with all these challenges in place, we were looking at how we could do things differently. So what were the principles or the techniques that we could use so that we can win back the customer confidence. So there was also business context to this, in the sense that this project was also executed under a contract model called as a risk-reward model. So there was a downside, in case we were not able to meet the stringent quality and schedule parameters. In fact, the customer wanted zero defects, high and critical defects, till the warranty phase. So it was a stiff challenge, and getting the team from where they were to where the customer wanted them to be was a challenge that we wanted to tackle. And on top of that, we also had in terms of the we had some challenges in terms of meeting the operating margins. So there were a high ratio of fresh developers in the team who were probably cutting their teeth in the project for the first time. So how do we make them do things right the first time? So that was the other challenge that we had to grapple with. And there was also a very shortened test cycle, and we had to do a lot of regression testing for the states which were already in production to ensure that we were not breaking anything in the existing system. So this is about the challenges. So I'll be talking about these 5 lean tenets: mistake proofing, visual controls, competency management, design structure matrix, and orthogonal arrays. So let me, I have a few slides on each of these tenets and tools in terms of what we did to implement these things and what was the benefit. So as we all know, visual control is more of a communication mechanism which tells us where we are with respect to a goal, a standard, or a metric. So it's more like a traffic signal. And wherever you see any deviation from the goal or the standard or the metric, you would want to go back and intervene and look at what is the correction that is required. So it is a technique which will help you to expose the undesirable conditions with respect to the goal, and also help you to take certain actions with respect to that. So going back to the challenges or the issues that we wanted to handle through visual controls, one was we were looking at a certain kind of ad hoc task allocation. So what we were looking, what I mean here is basically the tasks were not assigned to individuals based on complexity, or there was no ready-made information that was available in terms of what is the work in progress with an individual at that given point. And the other thing is the student syndrome. So this is a terminology that I've taken from the book The Goal by Goldreich. So what this essentially means is, as students, when we had prepared for our semester examinations, people always wait till the last moment, right? So you always postpone things for the next day. So when things are not made visual, and when you don't have team huddles happening on a daily basis, what we typically see is maybe the tasks which could be completed earlier don't get completed, because there's always a tendency to postpone. And I, as a developer, would always know how much time a particular task might take. So I'll probably postpone it till the point that I have a comfort level so that I can try to finish it before the due date. So basically it's a question of early finishes not getting rewarded, and it's only the delays which get passed down the system. And the team was dependent on the needs to understand the backlogs and the prioritization. There was no single place where we could probably look back and understand what are the backlogs and what is the prioritization. And there was considerable effort that was also spent by the leads and managers. They were spending about maybe half a day to 1 day per week to just collate the status and present the status to the customer.
Just clear some things, apply some new strategies, and ensure that in that junction there is a lot of flow, but in the very immediate junction, because of the way it is designed, there's a lot of congestion. So people will go faster here, and the next junction they get stuck, right? So this is what happens when you try this operations team. Okay, typically engineering and operations team have to interact almost on a daily basis. Sometimes very crucial interaction happens before the release happens, right? A lot of release related stuff, new procurement, new hardware, new configuration, or built-in requirements of that. So the way it is handled in the agile transformation, the interaction between engineering and the operations, development and operations, there's this concept called DevOps, right? So DevOps is some certain set of practices. Again, how do we enable non-engineering infrastructure teams, the operations teams, to work in collaboration with agile teams, with Scrum teams, so that there is a synergy and everyone is focused on delivering something which is important from the return on investment for the organization. So the executives and the leaders will be given some basic agile orientation. How do we run agile organization? How do we go about initiating agile education? At what points do we enable external coaching if it is needed? And then how do we really tackle the structural problem? Such initiatives will happen, and at the same time, the ground level, there are a lot of teams which will start undergoing Scrum training, and both of them will try to just work in parallel. Right? That also is an effective approach that I have seen. So let's imagine we are trying to do this, and we see that there is a necessity of. So suddenly we are losing the track, right? So what about the matrices? How do we track? The old world, we have pretty clearly defined the PMO organization steps based on traditional project management on the matrices. Now what happens? Right? How do we even measure it? How do we know if the projects are happening properly? What happens to the program management, the coordination? These are some of the concerns that bother us. So that's why in the presentation they are feeling lack of these matrices. And we have the operations. So again, suddenly the operations team become unhappy because all this while, anyone in the organization, if they need any support from us, the way it used to happen is they just raise some ticket, right, in some ticketing system, Jira ticket or Snow ticket, right? And if someone comes and asks you, yes, please raise a ticket and come in the queue. We have a lot of tickets in the queue. That's their approach. But suddenly, there is a pressure that builds on the operations team. You know what? There could be a number of tickets, but we are working Scrum. We have to deliver something in next 1 week or 2 weeks, or maybe next 3 months, 2 months. Please resolve our issues, our tickets first. And we cannot even get the approval. There's an approval email. Right? The pressure mounts on the operations team. And sometimes even sales team. So at what pace do we go and promise to the customer what's coming up? Or if there is a new project initiative, what is the frequency and cost that we manage, right? So in this scenario between starting a Scrum team versus starting a Kanban. Okay, so let's find out from audience. Anyone can tell me what are some typical activities that you do if you want to start something?
The iteration may not be necessary manual.
Okay,
It's an option.
okay.
Team sprint zero.
Mhm.
So once the
Okay, sprint zero, where you do all the preparatory activities. Yes, someone else? No?
Scrum teams need to go to the team.
Okay.
To understand the process before they actually
Okay. So how about Kanban teams in that case? Do Kanban teams be in progress or maybe waiting and then let's say verify and then waiting again? You're waiting on someone else and maybe done. You just build up some states. Emergency lane, okay, this is the normal work, but you guys are production guys and there should be something which can come emergency lane, everyone stop. So stop the lane concept from lean principle and huddle around, ensure that it moves to the next stage, there is no bottleneck and then resume your work. So these concepts probably need to be introduced. Okay? Okay. Now let me ask you a fundamental question. We have the Kanban board this side and we have the Scrum task board this side. Okay? And both of them are radiating certain information. So what is the main focus? Are they both same?
No, in total, you give the in progress also. Kanban will give you the VIP, and this will only give what is completed.
Oh really? Scrum task board also gives you work in progress.
Yeah, in progress, but we don't track various states in progress.
Oh, okay. So you're saying
basically in Kanban, you don't have a backlog
Kanban has
ready
a
all
backlog.
the time.
Kanban has a backlog. Okay.
Kanban only stops of work in progress limits. Then you
100%.
where I'm coming from is more from Scrum to Kanban.
Yeah.
The idea is that when your team is more mature
Yeah.
and Kanban makes more sense because
Okay.
they are self-disciplined and self-driven what needs to be done.
But in a transformation scenario, sometimes we may have to start both of them together. So I was just trying to trigger this conversation because There are a few things like whether it's Kanban or Scrum, Agile concepts, Lean principles are must for both teams, because both of them, if you really study in detail, okay, so I was told that there are about a couple of more, 2 minutes I would take because okay, which kind of tickets will be fixed by whom? Are all these things going to change? No, they're not going to change. Traditional thing, if you have a beautiful method of managing your planning, that is still going to happen. If you really apply Kanban, it will be just more visible, transparently on a board. And the last question I asked was, Kanban at any point of time depicts your flow. Is the flow happening? If the flow is stuck, huddle around, right? Huddling around and collaborative fixing and maybe even pairing and cross-functional nature, all these are agile concepts. If you apply them, you can just deal with them better, not without compromising the quality. Those are the only differences from your tradition to this. Otherwise, there is no particular difference.
But Kanban is a pull again. So
Yes.
traditional is a push.
Okay, so that's that's again comes from Agile, right? Self-empowered team.
First of all, it's very difficult for them to educate them in Agile because they are used to, so in college what they've read is waterfall, iterative waterfall style. Right?
Sure.
Then there's no try to explain what points are. So is it a man effort thing where you say, okay, I work 9 hours a day, where 4.5 hours goes as 1 point? Because see, I understand if you have a mature team, you can just say, okay, look at the complexity.
Sure.
Right? Maybe a particular story is a 2-pointer for somebody, it could be, whatever.
Sure.
It could be 1 pointer for somebody else, right?
Sure.
So how do you really quantify this when you're explaining it to a new person as a coach? Like, how do you do that?
Okay, and your question is not specifically whether you work in Kanban, you must come.
No, not at all. So I've never worked as Kanban, so I don't have experience in that front. So I have worked with the Scrum team and I face this problem explaining this
So what is your
concept.
status of your current already into the about their understanding about how story concepts? Do you feel they are relatively good?
See, the thing being that somewhere down the line we always pick up, like, we look at a velocity of 5 per week, right? So we kind of, we put it, okay, when in a sprint review, ultimately that's what matters, right? So when you are in a service-based company like TCS, I belong to TCS, so we need to show a customer what we've developed. So that is why we go ahead saying, okay, 5 pointers per sprint per developer, come up with 15. You're a team of 5, right? If you add up the velocity. But this is one challenge that I've actually faced time and again over the past 3-4 months, educating people as to how they should take it. You'll see many people take it like, 2 pointers per day. See, you have to, as a developer, you need to have an estimate. Otherwise, how do I expect them to work?
So this problem is not only applicable for special jobs, it is also applicable to the people who are in. If you are in the beginning of the journey, you always have this confusion.
Right.
I have seen practically people have to be told about 2 concepts in estimation. One is about sizing, relative sizing. Has nothing to do with time.
No, is it because of the
There's a dealing that has to happen. And if this is not convinced, then this is not educated properly, people will get into all sorts of problems and assumptions. And there is a very clear explanation. And the usage of story point, which is dealing from the time it's going to take to implement, is for a special purpose, for a different purpose. It is basically to do a release forecasting, whatever.
Release plan.
Right. And you can afford to do this for the entire backlog of items or for the release code. You cannot afford to do a similar one for, and in terms of time you're going to take to implement. That is the old world may fail. So when it comes to estimate hours, it has to be done with CS tasks for a handful of items that you're planning on.
CSM, I can get
You can afford to do.
Are you building internal IT applications?
Keep me the look for that day.
Yes, business people are there. What about like architecturals are there, which will be part of that?
Based on like your business, what we are doing, so we have like a specific business, so we are not calling it the business product.
So product ownership is in St. Louis?
Yes, product.
And Scrum Masters are in
In India
as well as share.
Yeah, but it's the first slide. So I'm sure everyone's happy about that. Right?
Scale agile concept is no end.
Right.
So is that what you really mean by is there an end?
Okay. So what this session is about is like we have a backlog, right? Everyone knows what a backlog is. So I'll skip this slide since I already introduced myself. So we have this concept of a backlog in Agile. And everyone knows what a backlog is. It's where we like, I don't know, put stuff. Anyone have a better definition of backlog? Prioritized, okay. Anything else? Things to do.
Wish list.
Wish list. Yeah. Warehouse, okay. Dump ground, parking lot, right? So if you look at the official definition, right? Requirements for a system expressed as a prioritized list, and there's some more stuff there, right? But what this session is about is, like, do we really need this backlog? Can we actually do software development without a backlog at all? That's the question that I'm posing, and that's why there's a question mark at the end, which is, it's not the end of the backlog. Is it the end of the backlog? That's what we want to like kind of discuss over here. Okay, so let's take an example, right, of we are building a product. Say, okay, so yeah, before we go to that, we talked a little bit about this, why we need a backlog. So why do we have a backlog? You know, the old, previously, like we never had a backlog in waterfall and things like that. So why do we have a backlog? What is it serving in the process?
It's easy to communicate if you have backlog. You can easy to communicate, easy to explain.
Okay,
to
so it's like for communicating, right, between the team and the product owners. But why do you need a backlog? You can just use some other way of communicating. Inbox for requirements. So it's just a place to store things so that we don't forget it. Right. But so why backlog? Is it just a place to store things so that we don't forget it?
What is a reminder also?
A reminder.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay, so we can track our progress. That's what you're saying, right? How much have we done and how much is left? What else?
It also gives the big picture of the.
Yeah, gives the big picture, so we know what all is there, right? What's the full scope?
It's a word document, it's not easy to pick the line and stuff, but it's a backlog, pick an item.
Yeah, but you can have a backlog in Word, right? As a list of things in a Word document. You just delete the line from your
So
Word
like
document.
like a standard way to communicate, and if you follow invest rule, would be great. So it's a standard way to communicate,
Okay.
and it's advisable to follow invest rule. That's all.
Yeah, so you're talking about user story,
Yeah.
not necessarily a backlog,
Okay.
right?
This standard way to communicate.
Okay. So I just picked up a few things. One was like tracking progress to see how much is done, how much is left. One is figuring out the priority so that we know what's next. Another thing is some people use it for commitment. So when it's in the backlog, that means the team has committed to do those things. Right? But does anyone here use a backlog like that? No? Yeah, the sprint backlog, use it like a commitment, but not necessarily the product backlog. Right? Some people put things in the backlog, so again this ties in with tracking progress is also to figure out when we are going to finish something. Right? And some people, just a place to dump stuff, right? Whatever's in our hand. So some of you said warehouse, idea store, and things like that. That's just a place to dump stuff. So okay, let's assume we're going to kind of walk through an example. Right? Let's assume we're building an e-commerce site, a bookstore. Right? So everyone has a rough idea of what a bookstore is. Right? Here's Amazon. What would be like the stuff on the backlog here? Right? So maybe the backlog is something like this. Want to see new stuff on the page, want to see details of the book. Over here we have some stuff for browsing, some stuff for searching. There are a couple of things on reviews over there. And then there's some more filters. Over here we got shopping cart. Right? And here are some more stuff. So more shopping cart stuff and some checkout and
behind which is on schedule, what customer needs has changed, what behavior should be incorporated. This is where these guys panel will look at and allocate resources around. If you look at functional level, they are only looking at these three things: cost, delivery, and quality. Right? But how do they get this information? They get it by being on the shop floor, not being in the cubicle. Right? And they have to meet the project's measure of process performance. So there are tools for it. I'm not going to talk about that. And if you look at it, each of these topics in each of these levels can be a one-day workshop itself. Process. Many people think standardized process is nothing but a template, right? If team A is doing, just copy that and put it to team B. No, that's not what standardized process means. Standardized process is doing the same sets of steps, but at the same time trying to innovate it better and better through visual controls and daily accountability. So it's making the same, see what you can get to Gemba Works. Look at it and then do certain further modification. And you need to have visual controls in place to show what's happening. Is the system actually providing me value or it is not? And once it is there, so this is a continuous process. And at a tactical level, this is even more important. Behaviors that replace our habits. Being sensitive to abnormality from specified operating conditions. To look at problems as valuable nuggets of information to be mined for tools to make improvements. So if people resist problems, that's only reason because they don't see them as valuable piece of information. You should be able to lead, innovate, solve. It means to get your hands dirty. How many of us today who are at senior levels, we say that I don't code, I don't test, I don't do things. Right? It's not that. You need to be able to even do it. You need to collaborate. If you cannot collaborate, you cannot expect the people on the floor to collaborate. And you have to create a situation of win-win for everyone. Make it happen, right? That maneuverability is needed in the thinking, not in the implementation. If you keep thinking open, then only you figure out how to maneuver. So if you do n number of steps, so you started from here, you did something and you failed, then you figured out something and you did something else, again you will fail. What is the learnings that you got? Keep on looking at this and then you continue this. This some point in time you will reach a success. So this is what is called maneuver. So finally you will reach this ideal state of point B, some point B. And this is not a one-step activity. People usually expect that if we are here, by doing a few set of tools implementation, by doing a few set of process templates thrown out in the organization, we go from A to B directly. No, it doesn't happen that way. You have to keep looking at things. You have to be involved with your people to figure out this part. And this is the most difficult part.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good in getting to meet many people, and the couple of sessions that I attended are pretty interesting. I liked Pete's keynote, and the one session on end of backlog was very thought-provoking. So I'm going to take some key messages back into my teams, into our group, and experiment with that.
at once.
I felt like, see, because I had some doubt like how the session will be, how it is going to help me, because I work for an organization, because it's like we develop software products, and it's enterprise products, and we already follow some agile methodologies, like because it is like following the Scrum, and we just uses Rally software tools for that. I was thinking how these sessions are going to help me. But the one thing I felt like is the sessions were packed in such a way that it lasts in 20 minutes. You won't get bored, okay? Every 30 minutes I can go to the next session. And the first two sessions, the first one I really enjoyed. It was fun. But the second session, the topic was a bit vast, okay? And they were trying to cover it in 20 minutes.
And who was the speaker?
I think it's Mohan. Because it was good. But the thing is like whether the content is able to reach the recipients. Because in 20 minutes, it has to be, the content has to be smart enough for any speaker, right? The content has to be too good that the participant should get a feeling like they have to think more once they come out of it, right? Because they have to get something out of whatever happened in the last 20 minutes. I think because it just started, right? I feel like it will be better going forward. That's it.
Yeah.
Which I have been to, right? This is a totally a different kind of the way it has been arranged and organized, it's very different. So I really like it. We are getting into Agile, so it is aligned with that. The kind of posters you have put in, the way it has been like interactive sessions. They are not boring, but they are very engaging. Most of it were engaging. Probably a couple of sessions I thought that probably they are talking like whatever they have been practicing, not on coaching or whatever. But most of it has been engaging. I am not looking at my mobile or I am not checking my mails. I am concentrating and taking the notes, which is not usually the case in many conferences. Alright, so that way I really like it. Hopefully the afternoon sessions are going to be like very interactive and engaging for me to learn further. I can go back and kind of communicate this to my teammates and whoever, whenever, so we practice it. That's what I'm really aim to do after this. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I mean, this is really a nice session, I mean, in my team, we are starting up with this transformation, and I think it's really helpful for us. From the session point of view, I like all these speakers, especially Charlie's session, but unfortunately he could not complete the session because of some time boundaries. But I think the message that he was giving was pretty, good, that, we should have some principles defined in the organization. And apart from that, I think it's going good so far. And I am really enjoying the session. Thank you.
Okay, so this morning I came to the office and I really enjoyed the way the program is organized. The way Vibhu gave the introduction, the context that he set this morning set the tone for the program, I would say. So it all started with the context, and the first session, it was just fabulous by him, and I actually attended the session of Govindraj, and he was talking about is that the end of a product backlog. I really like the concept of that. So the whole day it was a lot of fun. I'm also looking for the afternoon session, where there are going to be a lot of workshop in the afternoon session. So I'm really looking forward to that. So it was fun to be, and it was quite a lot of learning experience. So I really thoroughly enjoyed the whole day. I'm looking forward.
Thank you. I like the Clean India's sessions very much. I like Pete's speech a lot, where he covered the compete, collaborate, the way the organizations adopt on Agile and other things. Another point to add on was on the Charles session, which was on the lean organizations. That also I like. Even the JP session on Kanban, that was very good. Even on the lean leadership part, how the strategic teams versus the functional and the implementers should collaborate and to understand the big picture of it. So those all sessions are very good. I attended the track 2 fine. There were no problems. Even the group interactions were good. A lot of experiences shared with the audience. So overall, I like the Clean India session. Thanks.
Solutions IQ and Larry for convening such a wonderful set of sessions. There is a lot of diversity in terms of topics. Really good. That's a lot of Lean Summit. I have also seen a good amount of participation and a lot of interactive sessions in the first half of the day today. I look forward to more interactive sessions for the rest of the evening and for tomorrow as well. So there is a lot of learning that people could take from the various speakers. The only other feedback that I would like to give is many of the speakers had to rush through their sessions because maybe a duration of 20 minutes may be a bit too short. Maybe if that can be extended a little bit, I think it would be really great. Thanks.
Hey, I'm Vinay Javgal. Basically, I'm here at the Lean India Summit, and it's a pretty interesting topic. The choice of the sessions is very good. We have some very good sessions on the lean leadership. That's what today's organization needs to focus on, because in today's scenario where the recession is there, you need to have a lean team